Hey, the number one question that I hear from our listeners is, should I get a dealer's license? The number two question is, how do I get a dealer's license? Today on Flipping Genius, I'm going to try to answer those questions. If you buy and sell cars for a profit, or you want to, you're in the right place. This is the Flipping Genius Podcast. I am your host, Randy Lee. I've been flipping cars most of my life, despite having almost zero mechanical skill. For the past dozen years or so, I've been a licensed used car dealer in the great state of Alabama. No matter what the topic, the number one goal of this podcast is to help our listeners make more money. Let's get to it, flippers. Hey, flipping cars with an open title is illegal. Curb stoning is illegal. In most, if not all, states in the U.S., selling vehicles without legally possessing them is actually a felony. However, the reality is that car flippers all over the country and in other countries are doing this. They've been doing it, they've done it for years, and they'll continue to do it. But that doesn't make it right. Now, just in case you're so new to this game that you've never heard of this, let me explain. What I call selling with an open title is probably called a lot of things. Title skipping, title jumping. Those are two that come to mind. But I've always just called it open titles. It's basically where an individual who's not a licensed car dealer buys a vehicle from another individual or even a business and does not complete the signature on the back of the title. The selling party does print out and sign their name and probably completes a bill of sale. The buyer tells the seller something like, I'm nervous about car titles and I don't want to mess up, so I'll just leave my name off and I'll sign it at the DMV to make sure there's no problem. Or I'm not sure if the title is in my name or my wife's name, so I'm going to just go ahead and leave this blank for now. Now, by not registering the vehicle in their name, the buyer is able to sell to the next party without paying any tax to the state or the local jurisdiction. However, this is illegal without a dealer's license. The net effect to the third party buyer, the one that buys the vehicle from the first buyer, is purchasing a vehicle from someone they've never met, that original seller. Now, usually that third party is not even aware of this. They get a title that matches the VIN and keys to the car that they want, and off they go to the DMV to register the vehicle. And usually no one knows that a felony has occurred. That's right, a felony. That's scary, isn't it? Scary to me. Now, I'm not going to go into further detail on how this practice is carried out, as I'm not here to endorse this practice or let alone teach my audience how to become more proficient in it. Also, I don't want to act like I'm without any sin in this regard. I've been on this planet for over 60 years, and a long time ago, I'm sure that a couple of my transactions fell right in line with this story. However, about a dozen years or so ago, when I decided to get involved in car flipping, and I think I began calling it that because we'd been involved in real estate, and that's what is the common term for buying and selling houses and property for a profit. Anyway, when I decided to make car flipping my business, I realized I needed to do it the right way. So I obtained an automobile dealer's license in the state where I do business, and I've had one ever since. Now, over the years, there have been more and more hoops to jump through and more expenses to obtain and retain a license. In the meantime, other states around the country have also made it more difficult for prospective licensees to obtain a license in their state and to keep license in their state. So the answer I would I would usually give to the first question is, first question, should I get a dealer's license? Is yes. However, that's not automatic. You need to be able to obtain a license, and there are factors and restrictions that could prove to be hurdles. And those restrictions are age, credit references, credit rating, your criminal record, your financial wherewithal, and probably some other things too. Most states in the U.S. have similar restrictions and rules as far as age, insurance, bonding. However, they're not all exactly the same. So rather than bore all of you with a rundown of the differences and go state by state by state, I'm going to refer you to our website. Please go to flippinggenius.com. There it is, above my shoulder. If you're looking at the video, by the way, if you're listening to the podcast, I want you to know that we're also now on the YouTube channel. So the flippinggenius.com is flippinggenius.com, only one G in the middle. And click on the resources page there, and then go to our business and finance tab. And the first thing that you're going to see there is the NIADA, or the National Independent Auto Dealers Association tab. And just click on that, and from there you're going to have access to tons of information, including the links to your state's association, their site, and wherever you reside or do business. There'll be insurance carriers who specialize in helping you get the proper coverage that you need, bond dealers, and lots of other stuff that you'll want to know about. And you should be able to find that how answer, how do I do it, that fits you and your state and your situation within the information that's posted. Now, also, most of these state associations, and this is amazing, provide continuing and startup education, both in person and virtually, and it's often free of charge. And it's both for members and non-members of the association. Now, I've been a member of the association here in Alabama for several years. In fact, I actually help my fellow dealers out these days by serving on the Alabama Independent Auto Dealers Association in my spare time as part of the AIADA support team. So obviously I bought into the concept. I give them money and I work for them part-time too. But I know that they can help with this question, with this how question, probably better than I could in this thing. So go to flippinggenius.com, click on the resources page button, and then go to the business and finance tab. I want to make sure I was right about that. And you'll see what I'm talking about there. Click on there and just follow it through if you're in Kentucky, or if you're in Kansas, or if you're in is there another state that begins with a K, or Ohio, or wherever you're at. You'll find a lot of good information there. Another thing is here, and I know that's not the solution to everybody. Okay, so don't let me off the hook yet. I know that there's still a lot of other questions, like what if I just can't afford it? Like in states where you're required to prove evidence of certain facilities prior to obtaining a license. Somebody told me it was going to cost him over $250,000 to get started in his state. I think that was in Michigan. And somebody else, I think it was in Texas. Forgive me. I think his name's Carr, which I thought is awesome. That's an awesome name to be in the car business. His first name. He said that the state won't even consider my license application without a lease on a property, and I certainly can't afford to pay for that lease if I don't get my license. What the hell? I think is what his actual question was. Well, I'm going to take a quick break and try to get smarter, but when I come back, I'm going to share some ideas along these lines. That sweet outside the box thinking that's so important to survive and thrive in business. Hey, thanks for listening. And I want you to consider becoming a flipping team member. And when you do, we will share with you a startup kit that is valued at $250 or more. And each month, you'll get our Flipping Team Member Success Pack, which is also designed to help you make more money. Each and every month, you'll get more bonus material and other information because you're a Flipping Team member. Go to flippinggenius.com and click on the Flipping Team Member button to learn more. Okay, so we're going to talk about outside the box thinking. How do we solve those problems that don't automatically get solved by the text? But when we do, we've got to remember to ask ourselves that question we asked last week: who are we and who are we not? It's very important to know where you're at in this stage of your career. You got to work within your means. Don't get in over your head, financially, skill-wise, time-wise. And what we're going to talk about here is looking for assistance. Look for assistance that fits your situation. And that's the thing about the Flipping Genius is we're talking to people right now. I'm talking to people who fit almost every level of this flipping game. Everybody who's from somebody who's just considering doing their first flip to somebody who's maybe been doing it all their life. Thank you guys for listening. You're out there listening to the podcast right now, and some of you are starting to share with each other, from your affiliation with the Flipping Genius, and that's exciting. But you got to look at these elements, where you're at. And the first thing I want to talk about is partnering up. I mentioned this in our flipping forum to a few people who were asking questions about things like this. And I'll talk more about the car flipping forum later. It's free. It's something everybody should be involved in. But somebody brought up, it's just too expensive for me to get involved right now. There's no way that I can come up with, I think it was $250,000 they were talking about. So their thought was, I'm just going to walk away, I'll just keep flipping, either in a very small spectrum, or I'll do it illegally, which we're trying to discourage that, obviously. But my suggestion is to partner up. Partner up with, my first thought is an existing dealer who maybe is at a different stage in his life, his career. He's excited about your enthusiasm, or your willingness to work is a value to him, a great value to him, possibly. And their contacts and their wisdom are great value to you. And the net effect of this could be, 2 + 2 = 5 or 7. It can work like that. So consider that alternative. And I'll talk to you more about how we put those deals together in a minute. But while we're thinking about this, I want to think also, so maybe they're not at a different stage. Maybe the guy's exactly the same age as you are, but they need manpower to accomplish their goals. Maybe they're in a different situation financially, and you can come in that way. And maybe they need revenue to cover the obligations that they have, and you bring that to the table. They have the license already. They have everything in place insurance wise, but they need what you bring to the table, which is that thing I mentioned earlier, that enthusiasm and willingness to work. Or maybe they're looking to expand their operation, and they're supportive of the venture, the ideas that you have. You don't know unless you ask. That's one of my favorite things. My mom always said that, and it's stuck in my head. I think I've used that term a dozen times this week with regards to a variety of things in business. Look for someone who can help if it's not an existing dealer, if you don't find that, and we'll talk about how you find that, look for somebody who can help bring to the table what you lack with regard to finances, skills, and time, and just get your own business started with a joint license. So that's really what I'm talking about here is joint licensing ventures. And it's ideal to bring somebody who has good experience in the car business, but maybe they don't. You don't have to. I never had any car, uh, any business experience in the car business other than what I brought to the table. So I've never worked for another car dealer. I've never. You don't have to have that to get this thing going. Um, I think I'm the example of you don't have to have much of anything to get going other than belief in yourself and desire to do the work, and you can make this thing go. So let's say you've got a partner that brings something to the table. Maybe it's the finances, maybe it's the time that you don't have, and you can partner up and put together a good business plan. So think outside the box, think outside your own box, and look for opportunities elsewhere. Um, and if that doesn't work, another thing is to take a step back before you move ahead. And what I mean by this, and you may not like it, but maybe you become an employee or an apprentice. Maybe you find dealers who are willing to work with you, but they don't want to make you a partner. They may eventually want to, and you could work your way into that partnership. And while you're doing it, you're going to learn, you're going to build contacts, and you're going to save up because you're not paying all that overhead for that partnership. So this could be a better thing for you than you might think because you're getting paid on the deals you make and you're learning the business from somebody that knows the business. So don't rule that out either. And delay the next step the right way. And what I mean by this is do get your vehicles registered. Do follow the laws of your state. And now most states allow you to do about 4 or 5 flips per year as an individual owner. So you can flip 4 or 5 cars that you own each year in most states, but you do have to get them registered. Now each state's different. Again, look into the resource I gave you earlier. But a way to expand that is also to partner up. Number one place to look is possibly your spouse. If he or she's willing to work on that, even if it's just putting their name on the title, if they want to work with you, that's great too. But that's something that you can do. So if you've got 4 or 5 cars that you can do as an individual, now you're talking about 8 or 10 cars that you can do. And that can keep you pretty busy for a year or two. Or you've got siblings. Maybe your brother or your sister want to work with you. Or your friends, if you got good friends. This is a way you've got several names, 2 or 3 names that you can work within to put the titles in. And then, yeah, it's going to cost a little bit more for vehicle because you're going to have to pay for the expense of registering them. But you're not going to have that overhead that you would have as a licensed dealer with your insurances and your bonds and your overhead that's required. So this gives you a chance to do some flipping legally and get it going. You're also going to miss out on having things like dealer auctions. There's going to be a few shortcomings there, and that's why you're going to want to build to getting your dealer's license. I do recommend just about anybody that wants to do this long term, I would think that you want to get your dealer's license. But if you can't, it's not a dead end. That's what I'm trying to encourage you here. Now let's go back to where do you find these potential partners, especially in the car business. The first thing I think of, and I think this is going to be extremely valuable to you, is face-to-face calls on dealers in your area. Just walk into their car lot and tell them what you're thinking about. You'll get some no's, but you're going to get some people who are going to want to hire you, some people that want to partner up with you, and other people will want to sell you things. Because if you keep your head on a swivel, keep your eyes open, you're going to see things on the back lot that you may want to buy, things that they're not interested in. So this is a big opportunity. I've talked about it before. It's absolutely a solid idea that you're out looking for vehicles. We all got to find those vehicles. Sometimes these guys just took something in on trade, or they took it on trade 3 months ago, and they're not going to mess with it. They're just happy to get their money back out of it. They sell it to you. You got one to fix up. Maybe it also gives you entry into that partnership that we're talking about. Also, as you go to auctions, car dealers are at all car auctions. Whether it's a public auction, it's an estate auction, you're going to find guys like me who are there. They'll also be at their at the dealer only auction, but here's an opportunity for you to shake hands and put a face with a name and make some contacts. Here's how old I am. The next thing I wrote down was go to your Rolodex, and I got one right over here. I got an old school Rolodex on my desk. It's still got stuff in it, but that's probably not the one I would go to because it's got a lot of old names in it. But social media. Look at who's on there and anybody that you know, and don't just go to them. Go to the referral from them. Ask people that you know from those resources, and build on that. Who would work for this? Who would work for that? And build a potential group of people that you could call on for these partnership opportunities. And along those lines, and this goes probably to another step, maybe even another episode or two down the road. Build a mastermind group. You've heard me talk about that. In episode 61 and 62, you heard Rachel Eubanks come on. She talked about our mastermind group. I just listened to, if you want to hear another really good podcast, I just listened to Rachel's interview of me on her podcast, and that was a lot of fun. We talked about the mastermind group and how that's an essential way to help build your business. And this can be something that you're going to team up with, maybe a realtor, maybe a mechanic, whoever you want to build a group that will help you build your business. And with that in mind, I want to encourage you to join and participate in our Flipping Genius Facebook group called Car Flipping Forum. Just go to Facebook, search on groups for Flipping Genius. You'll find all of our groups. We've got close to 20 of them on there, I think. And you'll find the one that's blue and white is called the rest of them are all red. The one that's blue and white, except for the one in Texas, that one is burnt orange. We have got the Flipping Forum is set up to be a mastermind group for all of our listeners, and I encourage you and everyone who's listening and watching to join. And let's talk more. Let's talk more about this there. Because I know some of you have more questions. You've got more input. Some of you probably disagree with me. Let's hear it. Let's hear more about it on there. It's free to join. It's free to share, and you'll get ideas. Share your concerns. Share your stories. Share your suggestions. A lot of people ask me, Randy, why do you tell all your secrets on here? The fact is, it makes us better. Iron sharpens iron. That's from the Bible. I don't quote the Bible a lot, but that's a true thing that I just absolutely believe in. So join the Flippers Forum and participate. Key, both join and participate. And I want to ask you again. I've already said this one time, but I'll say it a zillion times. Become a Flipping team member. You're going to support everything we do at Flipping Genius, and you're going to benefit all that we're trying to build. And their goal is to make you, the listener, the watcher, the viewer, more money. So please consider joining the Flipping team members. Just go to Flipping Genius, and you can click on the team member button there. When you do, you're going to instantly be included in our Flipping team member awards, rewards, and that includes over $250 worth of support systems and downloads right out of the chute. And then every month you're going to get bonus material that's only available to our flipping team members, all designed to help you make more money. And also, as we're developing this, you'll be the first ones invited to future coaching and mastermind opportunities inside the Flipping Genius program. So really designed to make you more money. Please come and become a flipping team member. Hey, I want to mention that if you're listening, please subscribe. Ask you to give us a 5-star review. That helps us draw more listeners. The more listeners we get, the bigger we get, the more we can do for everybody. Save us as a favorite and download and listen us. If you download the podcast, you can listen no matter where you're at. If you don't have a service, if you're walking in a park or something, you can listen to the podcast anywhere. Now, a lot of you are watching the podcast, and I love it that you are. And if you aren't watching, I want you to know you can watch all the last 10 or 11 episodes, along with about 40 other videos on our YouTube channel. Just search Flipping Genius on YouTube, and vice versa. If you're watching, remember you can listen to all the podcasts. This is episode 68, so only the last 11 episodes are available on YouTube right now. So you can hear the first 58 episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. I frankly, that's what I do. I listen. I don't usually watch a lot. And I ask you that you'll, and if you are on YouTube, and when you get to YouTube, please subscribe so you don't miss anything. And look for our Coaching Up series, and I've got the 3-hour car flip series. A lot of good stuff there. And please share us on social media, email, or just turn us on whenever you're with your friends, and just force them to listen to it. I'm laughing, but I really mean it. And seriously, join and participate at the Car Flipping Forum. Just go to flippinggenius.com with 1G, and you'll see the links, and you can share your questions, share your answers, share anything you want. Also, you can email me directly at flippingquestions@gmail.com. If you got any questions that you want to just ask me, you don't want on the forum, that's fine. Send them that way. I encourage you to use the forum, though, because you can get input from a lot of other folks who know a lot more than I do. And hey, also, I mentioned the resources page already, but I want, because you got great access to the information for licensing. But also, while you're there, you'll find ways to make money, ways to save money, answers to your questions, and links to help for just about anything that I can think of. And I think that's all the brilliance I got for you today. Hey, thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Let's all work together. Let's make some money. Let's all become flipping geniuses.